Shalom, welcome to Tactically Torah. I am Heath Hayes. Today is day 75 of Read the Bible in a Year. We are in Joshua, reading chapters 17 through 20. If you're following along in the scriptures, the ISR, what have you, we are on page 272, thereabout, depending on your Bible. All right. And chapter 17. And the lot for the tribe of Manasseh, for he was the firstborn of Joseph, was for Machir, the firstborn of Manasseh, father of Gilad, because he was a man of battle. Therefore he had Gilad and Bashan. And for the rest of the children of Manasseh, for their clans, there was the children of Abiezer, and for the children of Helek, and for the children of Asriel, and for the children of Shechem, and for the children of Hefer, and Hepher, there it is, and for the children of Shemida, and these were the male children of Manasseh, son of Joseph, according to their clans. But Zelophehad, son of Hepher, son of Gilad, son of Machir, son of Manasseh, had no sons, but only daughters. And these were the names of his daughters: Mahlah, and Noah, and Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. And they came before Eleazar the priest, before Yehoshua son of Nun, and before the rulers, saying, Yahweh commanded Moshe to give us an inheritance according to our brothers. So he gave them an inheritance among their father's brothers according to the mouth of Yahweh. And 10 portions fell to Manasseh besides the land of Gilad and Bashan, which were beyond the Jordan, because of the daughters of Manasseh received an inheritance among his sons. And the rest of Manasseh's sons had the land of Gilad. And the border of Manasseh was from Asher to Michmethath, which faces Shechem, and the border went up to the right to the inhabitants of En Tappuah. The land of Tappuah belonged to Manasseh, but Tappuah was the border of Manasseh. But Tappuah on the border of Manasseh belonged to the children of Ephraim. And the border went down to the Wadi Kanah, southward to the Wadi. These cities of Ephraim were in the midst of the cities of Manasseh. But the border of Manasseh was north of the Wadi, and it ended at the sea. Southward it was Ephraim's, and northward it was Manasseh's. And the sea was its border, and they reached out to Asher on the north, and to Issachar on the east. And in Issachar and in Asher, Manasseh had Beth Shean and its towns, and Yibleam and its towns, and the inhabitants of Dor and its towns, and the inhabitants of Endor and its town, and the inhabitants of Ta'anak and its towns, and the inhabitants of Megiddo and its towns, 3 of the heights. But the children of Manasseh were unable to drive out the inhabitants of those cities, for the Canaanites desired to dwell in that land. And it came to be, when the children of Israel grew strong, that they put the Canaanites to compulsory labor, but did not utterly drive them out. And the children of Joseph spoke to Joshua, saying, Why have you given us but one lot and one portion to inherit, seeing that we are a great people, whom Yahweh has blessed until now? And Joshua said to them, If you are a great people, go up to the forest and clear a place for yourself there in the land of the Perizzites and the Rephaites, since the hill country of Ephraim is too narrow for you. Then the children of Joseph said, The hill country is not enough for us, and all the Canaanites who dwell in the land of the valley have chariots of iron, both those who are of Beth Shean and its towns, and those who are in the valley of Israel. And Yehoshua spoke to the house of Joseph, to Ephraim, and to Manasseh, saying, You are a great people and have great power. You are not to have one lot. For the hill country shall be yours. For though it is a forest, you shall cut it down, and its farthest limits shall be yours. For you are to drive out the Canaanites, though they have iron chariots and are strong. Chapter 18. And all the congregation of the children of Israel assembled at Shiloh, and they let the tent of appointment dwell there. And the land was subdued before them. 7 tribes were left among the children of Israel who had not yet shared their inheritance. So Yehoshua said to the children of Israel, Till when are we going to fail to go in and possess the land which Yahweh Elohim of your fathers has given you? Appoint 3 men from each tribe. Let me send them out to go through the land and describe it according to their inheritance, and come back to me. And they shall divide it into 7 portions. Yehudah stays within their border on the south, and the house of Joseph stays within their border on the north. And you shall describe the land in 7 portions, and shall bring it to me. Then I shall cast lots for you here before Yahweh our Elohim. But the Levites have no portion among you, for the priesthood of Yahweh is their inheritance. And Gad and Reuben and half the tribe of Manasseh have received their inheritance beyond the Jordan on the east, which Moshe the servant of Yahweh gave them. So the men rose up and went. And Joshua commanded those who went to describe the land, saying, Go, walk through the land and describe it. And come back to me, and let me cast lots for you before Yahweh in Shiloh. So the men went and passed through the land and described it in a book in 7 portions by cities. And they came to Joshua at the camp in Shiloh. And Joshua cast lots for them in Shiloh before Yahweh. And there Joshua divided the land to the children of Israel according to their portions. And the lot of the tribe of the children of Benjamin came up for their clans, and the border of their lot came out between the children of Judah and the children of Joseph. And their border was on the north side from the Jordan, and the border went up from the side of Jericho on the north, and went up through the mountains westward, and ended at the wilderness of Beth Awen. And the border went over from there toward Luz to the side of Luz, that is Bethel, southward, and the border went down to Ataroth Adar by the hill that lies on the south side of Lower Beth Horon. And the border was drawn and went around to the west side to the south from the hill that faces Beth Horon southward, and it ended at Kiriath Baal. That is Kiriath Yearim, the city of the children of Yehudah. This was the west side. And the south side was from end of Kiriath Yearim, and the border went out westward and went out to the fountain of the waters of Nephtoah. And the border came down to the end of the mountain that faces the valley of the son of Hinnom, which is in the valley of the Rephaim on the north, and went down to the valley of Hinnom to the side of the Jebusite city on the south, and went down to En Rogel. And it was drawn from the north when it went out to En Shemesh and went toward Geliloth, which is opposite the ascent of Adumim. The ascent of Adumim. And went down to the stone of Bohan, son of Reuben, and passed over the side opposite Arba northward and went down to Arba. And the border passed over the side of Beth Hogla northward, and the border ended at the north bay at the Salt Sea, at the south end of the Jordan. This was the southern boundary. And the Jordan borders the Jordan borders it on the east. This was the inheritance of the children of Benjamin, according to its boundaries all around for their clans. And the cities of the tribe of the children of Benjamin for their clans were Jericho and Beth Hogla and Emek Ketzitz, in Beth Arabah and Semaraim, in Beth El, and Avim, and Parah, and Ophrah, and Kephar, and Kephar ha-Ammoni, and Ophni, and Gabah, 12 cities with their villages, Gibon, and Ramah, and Be'eroth, and Mitzpeh, and Kephira, and Motzah, and Rekim, and Tirpeel, and Tar-Aralah, and Selah, and Eleph, and the Jebusite, that is Jerusalem, Gibath, and Kiryath, 14 cities with their villages. This was the inheritance of the children of Benjamin for their clans. So the reading gets a little bit harder here in chapter 19. So we're looking at about 50 or 60 verses of a whole bunch of names. 51 verses. And then 20 is only 9 verses. So we're looking forward to that. Anyways, chapter 19. Here we go. And the second lot came out for Shimon, for the tribe of the children of Shimon, for their clans, and their inheritance was with the inheritance of the children of Yehudah. And they had in their inheritance Beersheba, and Sheba, and Moladah, and Hatzar, and Shaul, and Bala, and Etzim, and El-Tolad, and Bethuel, and Hormah, and Siklag, and Beth Markaboth, and Hatzar Susa, and Beth Lebaoth, and Sharuhin, 13 cities and their villages, Ayin, Ramon, and Ether, and Ashan, 4 cities and their villages, and all the villages that were all around those cities, as far as Baalath Be'er, Ramoth Negeb. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Shimon for their clans. Hydration indicated. My first sip of coffee for the morning. Incredible. Love it. Oh, that's good too. Mushran. The inheritance of the children of Shimon, verse 9, was out of the portion of the children of Yehudah, for the portion of the children of Yehudah was too much for them. So the children of Shimon had their inheritance within their inheritance. And the third lot came up for the children of Zebulun for their clans, and the border of their inheritance was as far as Sarid, and their border went toward the sea and Maralah, and reached to Dabasheth, and reached to the wadi that faced Yochanan, and turned back from Sarid eastward toward the sunrise to the border of Kisloth Tabor, and went out toward Dabirath, and went up to Yaphia. Okay. And there it passed over eastward to the east of Gath-Hefer, toward Eth Katzin, and went out to Rimmon, which borders on Neah. And the border went around it on the north side of Hananoth, Hanathon, and it ended in the valley of Yiphthah El, Also Katath and Nahalal and uh, Shimron and Yiddalah and Bethlehem, 12 cities with their villages. This was the inheritance of the children of Zebulun for their clans. These cities with their villages. The fourth lot came to Issachar for the children of Issachar for their clans. And their border was toward Israel and Kesuloth and Shunim and Hapharaim and Shion and Anaharath and Rabith and Kishon and Ebetz and Remeth and In Ganim and In Haddah and Beth Patsetz. And the border reached to Tabor and to Shahatzimah and Beth Shemesh, and their border ended at the Jordan, 16 cities with their villages. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Issachar for their clans, the cities and their villages. And the fifth lot came out for the tribe of the children of Asher and for their clans, and their border was Helkath and Hali and Betin and Akshaph and Alamelech and Amad and Mishal. And it reached to Mount Carmel westward and to Brook Shihor Libnath, and turned toward the sunrise to Beth Dagon, and reached to Zebulun and to the valley of Yiphthah El. Then northward beyond Beth Emek and Neiel, and went out to Kabul, which is on the left, and Hebron and Rehob and Hammon and Cana as far as Great Sidon. And the border turned to Ramah and to the strong city Sor, and the border turned to Hosah and ended at the sea from the coast to Akzib. And Umah and Aphek and Rehob were included, 22 cities with their villages. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Asher for their clans, these cities with their villages. The sixth lot came out to the children of Naphtali for the children of Naphtali for their clans. And their border was from Heleph, from the terebinth tree of Sa'ananim, and Adami, Nekeb, and Yabneel, as far as Lakum, and it ended at the Jordan. And the border turned westward to Aznoth Tabor, and went out from there toward Hukok, and reached Zebulun on the south side, and Asher on the west side, and ended at Yehuda by the Jordan toward the sunrise. And the cities of defense were Sedim, Ser, and Hamath, and Rakath, and Kinnereth, and Adamah, and Ramah, and Hatzor, and Kadesh, and Edrei, and in Hatzor, and Yeron, and Migdal El, and Migdal El Horem, and Beth Anath, and Beth Shemesh, 19 cities, there it is, 19 cities with their villages. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Naphtali for their clans in the cities with their villages. And the seventh lot came out for the tribe of the children of Dan for their clans, and the border of their inheritance was Sora and Eshtaol, and Ir-Shemesh, and Sha'alabim, and Ayalon, and Yithla, and Elon, and Timnathah, and Ekron, and Eltekeh, and Gibbethon, and wait for it, Baalath, and Yehud, and Bnei Bnei Berek, and Gath Rimmon, and Me Yarkon, and Yarkon, and Rakon, and the border of Yaphol. And the border of the children of Dan went out from them, and the children of Dan went up to fight against Leshem and captured it, and they struck it with the edge of the sword and possessed it and dwelt in it, and called it Leshem, Dan, after the name of Dan their father. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Dan for their clans, these cities with their villages. And when they had ended dividing the land as an inheritance according their borders, and the children of Israel gave an inheritance to Yehoshua son of Nun in their midst, according to the mouth of Yahweh, they gave him the city which he asked for, Timnath Serah, in the mountains of Ephraim. And he built the city and dwelt in it. These were the inheritances of Eleazar the priest and Yehoshua son of Nun, and the heads of the fathers of the tribes of the children of Israel, divided as an inheritance by lot in Shiloh before Yahweh at the door of the tent of appointment, and they ended dividing the country. Chapter 20. Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, Appoint for yourselves cities of refuge, which I spoke to you through Moshe, for the manslayer who strikes any being mistakenly, unknowingly, to flee there. And they shall be your refuge from the Redeemer of blood. And he shall flee to one of those cities and stand at the entrance of the gate of the city and declare his case in the hearing of the elders of that city, and they shall take him to the city. Notice the elders are at the gate. They are known at the gate. And they shall take him into the city as one of them, and give him a place, and he shall dwell among them. And when the Redeemer of blood pursues him, they do not give the manslayer into his hand, because he struck his neighbor unknowingly and did not hate him beforehand. And he shall dwell in that city until he stands before the congregation for right ruling, and until the death of the one who is the high priest in those days. Then let the manslayer return and come to his own city and his own house, to the city from which he fled. So they set apart Kadesh and Galil in the mountains of Naphtali, and Shechem in the mountains of Ephraim, and Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, in the mountains of Yehuda. And beyond the Jordan by Jericho eastward, they appointed Bethser in the wilderness on the plain from the tribe of Reuben, and Ramoth in Gilad from the tribe of Gad, and Gilon in Bashan from the tribe of Manasseh. These were the cities appointed for all the children of Israel, for the sojourner who sojourned in their midst, for anyone striking and being unknowingly to flee there, or striking any being unknowingly to flee there, and to not die by the hand of the Redeemer of blood until he stood before a congregation. All right. That is 17 through 20. Shalom.